Welcome to the Penns Manor Area School Board's May 2021 business meeting. Roll call, Mr. Muscatello.
Mrs. Dalton.
Here.
Dr. Boston.
Here.
Mrs. Eckenrode.
Here.
Mr. Hardesty.
Here.
Mr. Larch.
Here.
Mr. Polenick.
Here.
Mrs. Williams.
Here. Here.
Mrs. Tate.
Here.
Ms. Smiley.
Here.
Myself, Mr. Johnston.
Here.
Mrs. Dolges and Mrs. Zeglin are excused. Mr. Grimaldi.
Here.
Mr. Dalton.
Here.
Mr. Gramling.
Here.
Mr. Stafford.
Here.
Thank you all. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Johnston, do we have any presentations this evening?
We have no presentations this evening, Mr. Hardesty.
Thank you, sir. We have to amend the agenda. Would you state that, Mr. Muscatello?
Sure. If you take a look at your agenda under new business, we're going to add a letter Q under new business. And that will be to appoint school board treasurer. Just for those of you wondering what we're doing, school board treasurer is appointed every May for a one-year term. And we did appoint Mrs. Tate for the remainder of the current term, but we must also appoint her for the next term. So that's going to read to elect Deborah Tate as treasurer as per section 404 of the Public School Code of 1949 as amended to fill the unexpired term of July 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2022, and to approve the treasurer bond at $5,000 issued by Liberty Mutual as surety. The board and Deborah Tate have agreed to waive the salary for this position.
Thank you. But we have a motion to amend the agenda.
Motion.
Thank you. Second.
Second.
Thank you.
We have a motion by Mrs. Eckenrode and a second by Mr. Larch.
We'll have a voice vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. All right, now we need to approve the amended agenda. May we have a motion to approve the amended agenda as printed? Any questions or concerns? We'll do this as a voice vote also. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oh, I need- Nope, I screwed up. We need a motion to approve the amended agenda.
Make the motion.
Thank you, sir. Second?
I'll second it.
I
Thank
have a
you.
motion by Mr. Polenick and a second by Mrs. Dalton.
Any questions or concerns? All right, we'll do our yays and nays. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any opposed? Thank you. Citizens' remarks. We have anything tonight, Mr. Muscatello?
We do not.
All right. Once again, explain for our folks out there how they can.
Sure. If you contact the district at boardquestions@pennsmanor.org, you can submit your questions in advance, or you can submit your questions live the night of the board meeting, during the board meeting. If you go to pennsmanor.org/school board.
Thank you very kindly. We have a motion to approve or amend the minutes as printed. Questions or concerns? Okay, we need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you.
I have a motion by Mrs. Eckenrode. Mrs. Tate, would you like to second that?
I'll second.
Got it.
Thank you. We'll go with voice vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Thank you. Under the business report, may we have a motion to approve the financial reports as printed?
Make the motion.
Thank you, Rich. Second?
Second.
I have a
Thank
motion
you.
by Mr. Planick and a second by Mrs. Tate.
This needs to be a roll call. Roll call vote, Mr. Muscatello?
Mrs. Eckenrode,
Yes.
Mr. Hardesty,
Yes.
Mr. Larch,
Yes.
Mr. Planick,
Yes.
Mrs. Tate,
Yes. Yes.
Mrs. Williams,
Yes.
Dr. Boston.
Yes. Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Number 8, presentations of bills. May we have a motion to authorize payment of bills as presented? General fund for 2021 or 2020 and 2021 school year, $235,460.79. No bills for the athletic fund, the capital reserve. However, for the cafeteria fund for 2020, 2021, $37,821.35. For a motion,
I'll make the motion.
thank you,
I'll second.
thank you, Rich.
I have a motion by Mr. Larch and a second by Mr. Planick.
Questions? Mr. Muscatello, roll call, please.
Mrs. Eckenrode,
Yes.
Mr. Hardesty,
Yes.
Mr. Larch,
Yes.
Mr. Planick,
Yes.
Mrs. Tate,
Yes. Yes.
Mrs. Williams,
Yes.
Yes.
Dr. Boston.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, why is she not on my list? And Ms. Smiley.
Yes.
Yes. Why isn't she on my list? And Mrs. Dalton. Why am I?
Yes.
Okay, we're good. Sorry about that.
All righty. Mr. Johnston, any program updates?
There are no program updates tonight.
All right, let's move into number 10, reports. Mr. Johnston?
Okay, I'd like to review some agenda items and then give you some additional information. First, I want to remind you that we're asking you to approve flexible instruction days for next school year. Again, it is our plan to use our 4 snow days that we've already approved in our school calendar for next year. After that, if we need additional days, we are permitted by you approving this evening and us filing with PDE for us to use flexible instruction days if approved by PDE once we submit our application. So this evening, we're asking for your approval to submit the application. Also, this evening, we're asking you to approve our list of 2021 Penns Banner graduates. They're listed in your agenda. Under Budget and Finance this evening, we're asking you to approve some of the renewals of online services that we use each year. First is to approve Zello renewal. That's for career planning. We're asking you to approve Turnitin renewal. That's used at the high school for students to check their writing for plagiarisms along with teachers. We're also asking you to approve Acadience reading and Acadience math assessment for next school year. We're also asking you to approve the renewal for Harris Solutions. That is the software used in our business office for budgetary and accounts, requisitions, payroll. We're also asking you to approve ESGI renewal. That's an assessment that our primary teachers use. We're also asking this evening that you approve a new agreement with Cox and CPA and Associates for them to complete our audit ending for the year of 21, 22, and 23. We're also asking you to approve under Budget and Finance EduLink renewal. That is our online assessment for our teachers, and that is a 3-year agreement. We're also asking you tonight to approve the 21-22 proposed general operating budget. I want to point out to you that this evening, the way the proposed budget reads is that we are using this evening in our proposed budget $200,000 of our federal ESSER funds, leaving us with a fund balance, having to use fund balance of $210,748 to balance our general operating budget. Although our general operating budget figures will not change, I do know that we've had discussion within our Budget and Finance Committee that how we balance our budget deficit could change from now till next month. And what I mean by that is you could change the amount of federal ESSER funds that you're using to balance the budget. You could change the amount of fund balance that you're using to balance the budget. You could also consider raising property taxes. So those three items you as a Budget and Finance Committee could still recommend from now till June. However, the overall final budget amount cannot change from our proposed budget that you're passing this evening until June 30th. Moving on to Buildings and Grounds Committee, we're asking you to approve an agreement with Tulick Valley HVAC to install 2 mini split heat pumps at the fitness center. Under Athletic Committee, we're asking you to approve a volunteer for softball. We're also asking you to approve a request from our head football coach to operate football camp in August at CEFMAC. We're asking you to approve a couple drivers under transportation. Under policies, we spent time discussing this. This is an admin regulation for weeding of resources and what we will do when we find that those types of resources are no longer and have a purpose or have outdated or outlasted their life. Under new business, we're asking you to appoint Mr. Muscatello as the board secretary. Also asking you to appoint Assistant Secretary Nicole Peterson. Also asking under new business for you to approve 2 summer salary payments to Mr. Hughes and Mrs. Lauer at their request. We're also asking you to approve a substitute yet for the remainder of our school year. We're also asking you to approve an agreement with Life Touch to produce our yearbook for the high school. We're also asking you to renew a contract with Mets to provide our food service. It's a 1-year agreement with a guarantee expense not to exceed $175,000. Also asking you to approve 2 additional summer programs that we would like to put in place, and we're using ESSER funds for those 2 programs. First is a program, credit recovery for seniors at the high school, and then also a summer learning camp at the elementary school. Again, those will be held this summer. We're also asking you to accept the resignation of Elizabeth Kokla as a cafeteria worker. She has worked for the district for 23 years. She was hired May of 1998 as an employee here at the district. Also asking you to approve an agreement with Adelphi for behavioral support, day treatment, and the YES program, should we have to place any students at that location. And again, each student we place there, that's brought to you to have approval to have them actually placed at that location for their education. Also asking you to approve an agreement tonight with Ignite for our behavioral therapist, as we have had the behavioral therapist for the past 2 years. We're also asking you to approve agreement with Ignite Education Solutions for our dropout prevention program, which again, we've had an agreement with them for the past 2 years. We're also asking you to approve the revised Chromebook agreement that Mr. Gramling presented last week. We're also asking you to approve the Ed Leo agreement that Mr. Gramling presented. We also would like you to grant us permission to advertise for a 4.5-hour cafeteria position to start for next school year. And then, of course, we have student recognitions and asking you for approval for agreement with Link Computer Corporation for a scale complete HC3 virtualization platform. And that's basically computer infrastructure that we need here at the district. Our current platform has expired its use. It's now 5 years old. So we are going to update that. And again, that was planned by our technology department and asking for your approval this evening. Some other items that I'd like to call to your attention. We are going to be entering now for the next 10 or 11 months, a time period where we'll work on our comprehensive plan. I know the board has already completed a SWOT analysis. We will start working with that data. We're also going to ask all of our stakeholders actually in our district to complete a SWOT analysis so that anyone that is listening, that'll be coming out in the next couple days for you to complete. We're just asking you to help us identify strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats of the district. That will help us beginning the process of the comprehensive plan for us. We also have a special education plan that will be due at the same time next year. Tomorrow, we have an Act 80 day. Students will not be attending school tomorrow. We also have our prom tomorrow evening, along with our Grand March. The Grand March is limited to seats of who we're allowing into the auditorium, but we will have it live streamed tomorrow for anyone that wants to watch. Other live streaming events that will be taking place. We have our pre-K graduation on June 1st. We have our kindergarten graduation on May 27th. We also, a couple other activities I want to point out to all of you that will be taking place yet for the closing of the year. And that is we are hosting the ICTC graduation here at the stadium on May 27th. Should it rain, ICTC will call that indoors. When that's called indoors, it will be live streamed because guests will not be able to attend should ICTC graduation need to be moved indoors. For us, our baccalaureate is on May 26th at 7 p.m. We have an awards banquet on June 1st. If you would like to attend, please let me know tonight because I need to know the count for any board member that wants to attend. I know a couple you've already sent to me, but if there's others, if you have not got a hold of me, please tell me tonight if you want to attend our senior awards banquet. Graduation, June 2nd. That will be at the stadium to allow as many folks to come to graduation that graduates want to invite. I would like to know from you if you are attending and want to sit with the group of faculty and board members. So if you would let me know that, again, at the end of the meeting, I'd appreciate it. Also want to point out that because of our graduation and us having it outside, it's planned for June 2nd. Should that we have rainy weather on June 2nd, our plans are to move graduation to the next night, which is June 3rd, which it was our board meeting planned night. So we're moving June board meetings to June 10th and June 17th. So that will be a change for us. And again, we'll announce that here at the end of the meeting. But our committee set meeting for the board in June will be June 10th and business meeting will be June 17th. Also, I want to thank PMEA. They actually are going to provide for all of you June 10th. If you would come at 6 o'clock, they would like to provide dinner to you as board members. They wanted to do it earlier in the year, but we've asked them to wait. And so they've selected next month to do that. And I just want to close by saying again to all of the students, parents, faculty, and staff, as we come to the end of our school year, the tremendous amount of work and change that everyone had to go through, even from a student, the change that they've had to go through this year, parents, the changes that they had to go through, the support that they've given us by the number of parents, clear from the beginning of parents even driving students to school, helping us tremendously. To all the support staff, to the faculty, I know every single person's job changed in one form or matter, to the rest of the administrative group. And I have to also say thank you to this board for the support that they've given us and the passion that everyone had to move forward to have this school year complete. That I feel we've had a very successful year for the number of hurdles that was placed in front of us. So as superintendent, I have to thank every single person listening to this and involved in this district. Thank you for your support for getting us to the end of this school year. And that's all I have, Mr. Hardesty.
Thank you, Mr. Johnston. Be sure to review the high school activity account that's in our packet. And I assume nothing federal, public relations, or Penns Manor Foundation at this time.
That's correct, Mr. Hardesty.
Any old business?
There's none.
Thank you. Negotiations Committee, Mrs. Eckenrode.
I have nothing this evening, Mr. Hardesty.
Thank you, Mrs.
You're
Eckenrode.
welcome.
Curriculum Committee, Mrs. Williams, Chairperson. What do you have for us?
Yes, Mr. Hardesty, I have two items tonight. The first item, request approval for the 2021-22 Flexible Instruction Days application submission. I'd like to make a motion to approve the submission of a Flexible Instruction Days application to the Pennsylvania Department of Education. Approved Flexible instruction days would be used as an alternate approach to delivering instruction if a circumstance arises that prevents instruction in a customary manner.
Thank you. Need a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion by Mrs. Williams and a second by Mrs. Tate.
Thank you. Questions or concerns? Roll call, sir.
Mrs. Eckenrode,
Yes.
Mr. Hardesty,
Yes.
Mr. Larch,
Yes.
Mr. Polenick,
Yes.
Ms. Smiley,
Yes.
Mrs. Tate,
Yes.
Mrs. Williams,
Yes.
Dr. Boston,
Yes.
Mrs. Dalton.
Yes.
Motion carries.
I have one other item this evening, approved 2021 Penns Manor area graduates. I'd like to make a motion to approve the list of graduates for the class of 2021 as presented, pending completion of all Penns Manor area school districts requirements.
I'll second.
Thank you.
I have a motion by Mrs. Eckenrode, excuse me, a motion by Mrs. Williams, a second by Mrs. Eckenrode.
Questions or concerns? Roll call, Mr. Muscatello.
Mrs. Eckenrode,
Yes.
Mr. Hardesty,
Yes.
Mr. Larch,
Yes.
Mr. Polenick,
Yes.
Mrs. Smiley,
Yes.
Mrs. Tate,
Yes.
Mrs. Williams,
Yes.
Dr. Boston,
Yes.
Mrs. Dalton.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, Budget and Finance Committee, 15A, approve Exelo renewal. May we have a motion to approve one-year access renewal for Exelo for the Penns Manor area junior senior high school is presented at a total cost of $2,000.
Make the motion.
Thank you, sir.
I'll second it.
I have a motion by Mr. Polenick, a second by Mrs. Dalton.
Questions, concerns? Roll call, Mr. Muscatello.
Mrs. Eckenrode,
Yes.
Mr. Hardesty,
Yes.
Mr. Larch,
Yes.
Mr. Polenick,
Yes.
Mrs. Smiley,
Yes.
Mrs. Tate,
Yes.
Mrs. Williams,
Yes.
Dr. Boston,
Yes.
Mrs. Dalton.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. 14B, approval of tuition renewal. May we have a motion to approve a one-year access renewal of tuition for Penns Manor area junior senior high school as presented at a total cost of $1,670.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, sir. Second?
I'll second.
A motion by Mr. Larch and a second by Mrs. Eckenrode.
Questions or concerns? Roll call.
Mrs. Eckenrode,
Yes.
Mr. Hardesty,
Yes.
Mr. Larch,
Yes.
Mr. Polenick,
Yes.
Mrs. Smiley,
Yes.
Mrs. Tate,
Yes.
Mrs. Williams,
Yes.
Dr. Boston,
Yes.
Mrs. Dalton.
Yes.
Motion carries.
14C, approve Voyager Sopris Learning Agreement. May we have a motion to approve a one-year access renewal of a Cadence Math and a Cadence Reading at a total cost of $2,397.75 as presented.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
I have a motion by Mrs. Williams and a second by Mrs. Tate.
Thank you all. Questions or concerns? Roll call, sir.
Mrs. Eckenrode,
Yes.
Mr. Hardesty,
Yes.
Mr. Larch,
Yes.
Mr. Polenick,
Yes.
Mrs. Smiley,
Yes.
Mrs. Tate,
Yes.
Mrs. Williams,
Yes.
Dr. Boston,
Yes.
Mrs. Dalton.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Number 14D, approve Harris School Solutions renewal. May we have a motion to approve the renewal of the standard software maintenance service agreement for ProSolve Financial Products with Harris School Solution as attached for the period beginning July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2022 in the amount of $13,426.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Mrs. Eckenrode and a second by Mrs. Smiley.
Thank you. Questions or concerns? Mr. Muscatello?
Mrs. Eckenrode,
Yes.
Mr. Hardesty,
Yes.
Mr. Larch,
Yes.
Mr. Plenick,
Yes.
Mrs. Smiley,
Yes.
Mrs. Tate,
yes,
Mrs. Williams,
yes,
Dr. Boston,
Yes.
Mrs. Dalton.
Yes.
Motion carries.
14E, approval of ESGI renewal. May we have a motion to approve a one-year access renewal with ESGI for the use of online assessment as presented at a cost of $1,017.
I'll make the motion.
Second. I'll second.
I have a motion by Mrs. Tate and a second by Mr. Larch.
Thank you all. Questions or concerns?
What was that value again? I think you might have misread that,
Did
Mr.
I, $1,917? Excuse me.
That's correct.
Roll call, sir.
Mrs. Eckenrode,
Yes.
Mr. Hardesty,
Yes.
Mr. Larch,
Yes.
Mr. Plenick,
Yes.
Mrs. Smiley,
Yes.
Mrs. Tate,
Yes,
Mrs. Williams,
yes,
Dr. Boston,
Yes.
Mrs. Dalton.
Yes.
Motion carries.
14F, Kotzen CPA and Associates Audit Engagement Letter. May we have a motion to approve the audit engagement letter presented by Kotzen CPA and Associates, PC, in regards to the audits to be conducted for the year ended June 30, 2021, at a cost of $16,000, June 30th, 2022 at a cost of $16,000, and June 30, 2023 at a cost of $16,500. The board hereby authorizes the administration to sign the audit engagement letter and complete the annual audits for 2021, 21-22, and 22-23 school years.
Make the motion.
Thank you.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Plenick and a second by Mrs. Eckenrode.
Any questions or concerns? A roll call, Mr. Muscatello.
Mrs. Eckenrode,
Yes.
Mr. Hardesty,
Yes.
Mr. Larch,
Yes.
Mr. Plenick,
Yes.
Mrs. Smiley,
Yes.
Mrs. Tate,
yes,
Mrs. Williams,
yes,
Dr. Boston,
Yes.
Mrs. Dalton.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Number 14G, approve EduLink renewal for PA-ETEP. May we have a motion to approve a 3-year access renewal of EduLink for the Penns Manor Area School District as presented at a total cost of $10,691.
I'll make the motion.
Make the motion.
I have a motion by Mrs. Dalton. Mrs. Tate, would you like to second?
Yes,
Second by Mrs. Tate.
Any questions or concerns? Roll call, sir.
Mrs. Eckenrode,
Yes.
Mr. Hardesty,
Yes.
Mr. Larch,
Yes.
Mr. Plenick,
Yes.
Mrs. Smiley,
Yes.
Mrs. Tate,
yes,
Mrs. Williams,
yes,
Dr. Boston,
Yes.
Mrs. Dalton.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Number 14H, approve the 2021-2022 proposed general operating budget. May we have a motion to adopt the proposed district budget for the 2021-2022 fiscal year in accordance with the provisions of Section 687 of the Public School Code 1949 as amended, 24 pertinent statute 6-687, and as presented to the board as follows. Expenses, $18,569,280. Revenue, $18,358,532. Borrow from the fund balance, $210,748 and providing for a millage rate of 14.7288, representing no increase in the property tax millage rate on the real estate property within the Penns Manor Area School District, upon which the county taxes are levied and assessed.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Larch. Second? I'll second it.
I have a motion by Mr. Larch and a second by Mr. Hardesty.
Questions, concerns? Roll call, Mr. Muscatello.
Mrs. Eckenrode,
Yes.
Mr. Hardesty,
Yes.
Mr. Larch,
Yes.
Mr. Polenic,
Yes.
Mrs. Smiley,
Yes.
Mrs. Tate,
Yes.
Mrs. Williams,
Yes.
Dr. Boston,
Yes.
Mrs. Dalton.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Number 16, Buildings and Grounds Committee, Mr. Planning, please.
Thank you, Mr. Hardesty. One item 15A, approve an agreement with Tulick Valley HVAC LLC to install 2 mini split heat pumps at the fitness center. I'd like to make a motion to approve an agreement with Tulick Valley HVAC LLC to install 2 mini split heat pumps at the Penns Manor Area Fitness Center at a cost of $7,336.14.
A second?
I have a motion by Mr. Polenic and a second by Mrs. Eckenrode.
Questions, concerns? Let's have a roll call, Mr. Muscatello.
Mrs. Eckenrode,
Yes.
Mr. Hardesty,
Yes.
Mr. Larch,
Yes.
Mr. Polenic,
Yes.
Mrs. Smiley,
Yes.
Mrs. Tate,
Yes.
Mrs. Williams,
Yes.
Dr. Boston,
Yes.
Mrs. Dalton.
Yes.
Motion carries.
That's all I have, Mr. Hardesty.
Thank you very kindly. Mr. Larch, anything from the Athletic Committee?
Yes, I have a couple items this evening. 16A, approve sports volunteer. I'd like to make the motion to approve the following sports volunteers for the 2020-2021 school year, pending the receipt of all current clearances, cardio and impact testing, and the coaching education courses as required by PIAA. Larkin Crow.
Second?
I'll second it.
I have a motion by Mr. Larch and a second by Mrs. Dalton.
Questions? Roll call, sir.
Mrs. Eckenrode,
Yes.
Mr. Hardesty,
Yes.
Mr. Larch,
Yes.
Mr. Polenic,
Yes.
Mrs. Smiley,
Yes.
Mrs. Tate,
Yes.
Mrs. Williams,
Yes.
Dr. Boston,
Yes.
Mrs. Dalton.
Yes.
Motion carries.
My second item, 16B, I'd like to request approval for football camp at Seth Mack, August 15th through August 20th, 2021. I'd like to make the motion to approve the varsity football team to conduct an overnight football camp at Camp Seth Mack from August 15th, 2021 to August 20th, 2021.
I'll second that.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Mr. Larch and a second by Mrs. Tate.
Any questions or concerns? Mr. Muscatello, roll call.
Mrs. Eckenrode,
Yes.
Mr. Hardesty,
Yes.
Mr. Larch,
Yes.
Mr. Polenic,
Yes.
Mrs. Smiley,
Yes.
Mrs. Tate,
Yes.
Mrs. Williams,
Yes.
Dr. Boston,
Yes.
Mrs. Dalton.
Yes.
Motion carries.
And that's all I have this evening, Mr. Hardesty.
Thank you, Mr. Larch. Transportation Committee, Mrs. Tate.
Yes, I have one item tonight. Approved drivers for the 2020-2021 school year. I would like to make the motion to approve the following bus drivers and substitutes for Tri-County Transportation for the 2020-21 school year. Clifford Chipless, Berdina Beck, Melissa Hernandez.
I'll second.
Second.
I have a motion by Mrs. Tate and a second by Mrs. Eckenrode.
Thank you all. Questions or concerns? Let's do a roll call.
Mrs. Eckenrode,
Yes.
Mr. Hardesty,
Yes.
Mr. Larch,
Yes.
Mr. Planick,
Yes.
Mrs. Smiley,
Yes.
Mrs. Tate,
Yes.
Mrs. Williams,
Yes.
Dr. Boston,
Yes.
Mrs. Dalton.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Number
That's all-
18.
That's all I
approve-
have.
Thank you very much, Mrs. State. Number 18, approve admin regulation AR 109, weeding of resource materials. May we have a motion to approve administrative regulation 109-AR-2, weeding of resource materials as attached.
I'll make the motion.
Motion. Second.
I have a motion by Mrs. Williams and a second by Mr. Planick.
Questions, concerns? Roll call, sir.
Mrs. Eckenrode,
Yes.
Mr. Hardesty,
Yes.
Mr. Larch,
Yes.
Mr. Planick,
Yes.
Mrs. Smiley,
Yes.
Mrs. Tate,
Yes.
Mrs. Williams,
Yes.
Dr. Boston,
Yes.
Mrs. Dalton.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Any correspondence, Mr. Johnson?
We have no correspondence to share this evening.
Thank you. Number 20, new business. Appoint a board secretary. This is 20A. May we have a motion to that in accordance with the provisions of Section 434 of the Public School Code of 1949 as amended? The School Board of Directors hereby appoints Joshua Muscatello as board secretary for a term of 4 years, effective July 1st, 2020 to June 30th, 2025, at an annual salary of $1,200.
I'll make the
I'll make the
motion.
motion.
I have a motion by Mrs. Eckenrode and a second by Mrs. Tate.
Yes.
Questions, concerns?
Yes, shouldn't that be 2024 instead of
Okay.
2025?
Actually, it should be July 1, 2021.
Well,
Well,
actually, they're appointed for 4-year terms. So the term is 21 to 25,
So it's,
but we discussed, there was a,
Well, last year, we did not have on the agenda the motion, which should have been put on last year. So we need to do last year's retroactively and move forward for 3 years.
I thought this was the year for board secretary.
Well, when I talked to you earlier, you had 2021 to 2020, you had 2020 to 2025. So it can't be that because that's 5 years.
So what's
Then
this?
when I asked you, you said, well, we had to do it retroactively going back to 2020. So that would be 2020, 2021, 21, 22, 22, 23, 23 to 24.
So we just need to change the 4 to a 5.
will do it.
No, 5 to a 4.
We're changing the end date or we're changing the term?
Well, that's what I'm asking. Did we need a motion on the agenda to appoint you for 4 years? Or,
I thought this was the year that needed to have the appointment for 4 years.
okay, well, then it would be 2021 to 2025.
Okay, so we're changing it July 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2025, and that's a 4-year period.
Everybody okay with that change? Any other questions or concerns? Roll call, sir.
Mrs. Eckenrode,
Yes.
Mr. Hardesty,
Yes.
Mr. Larch,
Yes.
Mr. Planick,
Yes.
Mrs. Smiley,
Yes.
Mrs. Tate,
Yes.
Mrs. Williams,
Yes.
Dr. Boston,
Yes.
Mrs. Dalton.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Do we need to do the same thing?
Yes, we'll need to do
the
the same.
same thing for the next motion.
So we'll be making the same change to the next motion.
So number 20B, appointment Assistant Board Secretary. May we have a motion that in accordance with the provisions of Section 434 of the Public School Code of 1949 as amended, the School Board of Directors, the Board School Directors hereby appoints Nicole Peterson as the Assistant Board Secretary for a term of 4 years. Excuse me, right? Effective July 1, 2021 to June 30th, 2025, at an annual salary of $1,200, in addition to performing the duties and exercising the powers of the Board Secretary in the absence or disability of the Board Secretary. Nicole Peterson shall assist the Board Secretary in recording of roll call votes and preparation of minutes of the board meeting. May we have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
I have a motion by Mrs. Williams and a second by Mrs. Tate.
Thank you. Questions, concerns? Roll call.
Mrs. Eckenrode,
Yes.
Mr. Hardesty,
Yes.
Mr. Larch,
Yes.
Mr. Plenick,
Yes.
Mrs. Smiley,
Yes.
Mrs. Tate,
Yes.
Mrs. Williams,
Yes.
Dr. Boston,
Yes.
Mrs. Dalton.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Number 20C, summer salaries. May we have a motion to grant the following staff summer salary in a lump sum payment at the end of the school years as the funds are available. Mrs. Erica Lauer and Mr. Jerry Hughes.
I'll make the motion. I'll second it.
I have a motion by Mrs. Eckenrode and a second by Mrs. Tate. Excuse me, Mrs. Smiley. Jeez.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't look up. I have a second by Mrs. Dalton. Don't mind me over here.
Thank you. Questions or concerns? Mr. Muscatello, a roll call, please.
Mrs. Eckenrode,
Yes.
Mr. Hardesty,
Yes.
Mr. Larch,
Yes.
Mr. Plenick,
Yes.
Mrs. Smiley,
Yes.
Mrs. Tate,
Yes.
Mrs. Williams,
Yes.
Dr. Boston,
Yes.
Mrs. Dalton.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Number 20D, approve substitute list for the 2021 school year. May we have a motion to approve the following day-to-day substitute pending receipt of all current clearances for the 2020-2021 school year. Mara Deanna, Health and Physical Education, PK through 12.
Make the motion.
Thank you.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Mr. Plenick and a second by Mr. Larch.
Questions? Let's roll call.
Mrs. Eckenrode,
Yes.
Mr. Hardesty,
Yes.
Mr. Larch.
Yes.
Mr. Plenick,
Yes.
Mrs. Smiley,
Yes.
Mrs. Tate,
Yes.
Mrs. Williams,
Yes.
Dr. Boston,
Yes.
Mrs. Dalton.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Number 20E, approve yearbook agreement. May we have a motion to approve an agreement with Life Touch for the publication of our elementary and high school yearbooks. The term of the agreement is July 1, 2021 to July 30, 2022, with the option to extend the contract for 2 additional one-year renewals. The cost of the elementary yearbook will be $10 per copy, and the cost of the high school yearbook will be $46.40 per copy.
Ending June 30th, 2022.
Okay, excuse me. Need a motion, please?
I'll make
I'll
the
make-
motion.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion by Mrs. Smiley and a second by Mrs. Tate.
And that will be the cost to the students? Is that correct?
That would be the cost of production.
Okay.
And
cost
then,
of
and then the yearbook club will make a decision on the sale price.
Okay, thank you. Other questions or concerns? Roll call.
Mrs. Eckenrode,
Yes.
Mr. Hardesty,
Yes.
Mr. Larch,
Yes.
Mr. Planick,
Yes.
Mrs. Smiley,
Yes.
Mrs. Tate,
yes,
Mrs. Williams,
yes,
Dr. Boston,
Yes.
Mrs. Dalton.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, number 20F, approve renewal contract with Mets. May we have a motion to enter into a one-year contract, second year renewal with Mets Culinary Management for supervision and operation of a food service program for the Penns Manor Area School District, effective July 1st. Should that be
That
20?
is also 2000. Yes, that is correct.
2021 and 2022.
Yes.
All right. Program for the Penns Manor Area School District effective July 1st, 2021 and ending June 30th, 2022 at a guaranteed expense to the general fund not to exceed $175,000. Need a motion, please?
I'll make the motion.
And I'll second.
I have a motion by Mrs. Eckenrode and a second by Mr. Larch.
Thank you, folks. Questions, concerns? Roll call, sir.
Mrs. Eckenrode,
Yes.
Mr. Hardesty,
Yes.
Mr. Larch,
Yes.
Mr. Planick,
Yes.
Mrs. Smiley,
Yes.
Mrs. Tate,
yes,
Mrs. Williams,
yes,
Dr. Boston,
Yes.
Mrs. Dalton.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Number 20G, approve summer programs. May we have a motion to grant administration permission to operate a credit recovery program to senior students at the high school during June of 2021 and a PMAES summer learning camp at the elementary school during June and August of 2021. ESS, ERS funds, or three funds will be utilized to pay the cost of the program. The board also grants the administration permission to post and as advertised for necessary positions. And we have a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Second it.
I have a motion by Mrs. Tate and a second by Mrs. Dalton.
Thank you. Questions or concerns? Roll call, Mr. Muscatello.
Mrs. Eckenrode,
Yes.
Mr. Hardesty,
Yes.
Mr. Larch,
Yes.
Mr. Planick,
Yes.
Mrs. Smiley,
Yes.
Mrs. Tate,
Yes,
Mrs. Williams,
yes,
Dr. Boston,
Yes.
Mrs. Dalton.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Number 20H, accept the resignation of Elizabeth Kokla as a cafeteria worker. May we have a motion to accept with regret the retirement resignation of Elizabeth Kokla as a cafeteria worker effective June 30th, 2021. Mrs. Kokla has been employed at the Penns Manor Area Schools since May of 1998.
Make the motion.
Thank you, sir.
I'll second.
Thank you,
I have a
sir.
motion by Mr. Planick and a second by Mr. Larch.
Any questions, concerns? Roll call.
Mrs. Eckenrode,
Yes.
Mr. Hardesty,
Yes.
Mr. Larch,
Yes.
Mr. Planick,
Yes.
Mrs. Smiley,
Yes.
Mrs. Tate,
yes,
Mrs. Williams,
yes,
Dr. Boston.
Yes.
Mrs. Dalton.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Number 20I, approve agreement with Adelphi. May we have a motion to approve an agreement with Adelphi Education Services as a service provider for an alternative education program placement during the 2021-22 school year, should the administration deem it necessary to enroll a student in Adelphi's behavior support, day treatment, or YES credit recovery program as presented. The per diem cost of these services is as follows: behavioral support, regular education, $92.15, special education, $101.44, Day treatment, regular education, $132.92. Special education, $138.99. And the YES credit recovery, regular education, $92.15. 100 for special ed, $101.44. We have a motion.
I'll make the motion. I'll second it.
I have a motion by Mrs. Eckenrode and a second by Mrs. Dalton.
Questions or concerns? Those are per day rates, correct?
Yes. That is per day rate.
Okay, roll call, Mr. Muscatello?
Mrs. Eckenrode,
Yes.
Mr. Hardesty,
Yes.
Mr. Larch.
Yes.
Mr. Plenick,
Yes.
Mrs. Smiley,
Yes.
Mrs. Tate,
yes,
Mrs. Williams,
yes,
Dr. Boston,
Yes.
Mrs. Dalton.
Yes.
Motion carries.
20J, approve agreement with Ignite Education Solutions Behavioral Therapist. May we have a motion to approve an agreement with Ignite Education Solutions to provide a behavioral therapist for the 2021-2022 school year as presented at a cost of $31,308.19.
I'll make the motion.
second,
Thank you.
I have a motion by Mr. Larch and a second by Mrs. Tate.
Thank you all. Questions, concerns? Roll call, Mr. Muscatello.
Mrs. Eckenrode,
Yes.
Mr. Hardesty,
Yes.
Mr. Larch,
Yes.
Mr. Plenick,
Yes.
Mrs. Smiley,
Yes.
Mrs. Tate,
yes,
Mrs. Williams,
yes,
Dr. Boston,
Yes.
Mrs. Dalton.
Yes.
Motion carries.
20K, approve agreement with the Ignite Education Solutions Dropout Prevention. May we have a motion to approve the agreement as presented with Ignite Education Solutions for the 2021-2022 school year to provide a dropout prevention program that will be located at the Admiral Perry Area Vocational Technical School. The cost to the district is not to exceed $69,198.89.
I'll make the motion.
Motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Mrs. Tate and a second by Mrs. Smiley.
Questions, concerns? Let's roll call.
Mrs. Eckenrode,
Yes.
Mr. Hardesty,
Yes.
Mr. Larch,
Yes.
Mr. Plenick,
Yes.
Mrs. Smiley,
Yes.
Mrs. Tate,
Yes,
Mrs. Williams,
yes,
Dr. Boston,
Yes.
Mrs. Dalton.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Number 21L, approve revised Chromebook agreement. May we have a motion to approve offering students accidental device insurance as per the revised Penns Manor Area School District Chromebook Program Handbook. This insurance program is self-funded and will be analyzed annually to ensure that the program is funded appropriately to cover claims. And we have a motion.
Make the motion.
Thank you.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Plenick and a second by Mrs. Eckenrode.
Thank you all. Any questions? Mr. Muscatello?
Mrs. Eckenrode,
Yes.
Mr. Hardesty,
Yes.
Mr. Larch,
Yes.
Mr. Plenick,
Yes.
Mrs. Smiley,
Yes.
Mrs. Tate,
yes,
Mrs. Williams,
yes,
Dr. Boston,
Yes.
Amy Dalton.
Yes.
This is Dalton, excuse me.
Thank you. Number 21M, approve Edleo agreement. May we have a motion to approve an agreement with Edleo LLC whereby Edleo will provide online school payment and related services to the district to facilitate payments for a variety of school activities, events, and other items payable from student activity funds. There is no cost to the district for this service.
I'll make the motion.
And I'll second.
I have a motion by, was that Mrs. Williams?
That was Ms.
Deborah Tate.
Oh, excuse me. Motion by Mrs. Tate and a second by Mr. Larch.
Thank you. Any concerns, questions? Mr. Muscatello, roll call?
Mrs. Eckenrode,
Yes.
Mr. Hardesty,
Yes.
Mr. Larch,
Yes.
Mr. Plenick,
Yes.
Mrs. Smiley,
Yes.
Mrs. Tate,
Yes.
Mrs. Williams,
Yes.
Dr. Boston,
Yes.
Mrs. Dalton.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Number 20N, grant administration permission to advertise for a 4.5-hour cafeteria position. May we have a motion to grant the administration permission to advertise for a 20.5-hour cafeteria position? 4.5.
The motion. I'll second.
I have a motion by Mrs. Dalton and a second by Mrs. Smiley.
Thank you. Questions or concerns? Roll call, Mr. Muscatello.
Mrs. Eckenrode,
Yes.
Mr. Hardesty,
Yes.
Mr. Larch,
Yes.
Mr. Plenick,
Yes.
Mrs. Smiley,
Yes.
Mrs. Tate,
Yes.
Mrs. Williams,
Yes.
Dr. Boston,
Yes.
Mrs. Dalton.
Yes.
Motion carries.
20, approve agreement with Link Computer Corporation. May we have a motion to approve an agreement with Link Computer Corporation for the purchase of a scale computing HC3 virtualization platform at a cost of $54,480 as per CoStar's 003-040.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Mrs. Eckenrode and a second by Mrs. Tate.
Questions or concerns? Roll call, sir.
Mrs. Eckenrode,
Yes.
Mr. Hardesty,
Yes.
Mr. Larch,
Yes.
Mr. Plenick,
Yes.
Mrs. Smiley,
Yes.
Mrs. Tate,
Yes.
Mrs. Williams,
Yes.
Dr. Boston,
Yes.
Mrs. Dalton.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Number 20P, these are always great. PMEA Student of the Month for May, Gwen Stahl. These are student recognitions. 2021 All Gazette Basketball Team, girls, first team members, Megan Dunn, Cassidy Smith. Best of the rest, Anna Peterman. Girls Coach of the Year, Jason Melosier. Boys First Team, Grant Grimaldi. Best of the rest, Max Hill, Dimitri Lieb. FBLA State Competition winners. The Penns Manor FBLA placed first in the state for local market share, which is based on the percentage of student FBLA involvement in our high school. The Penns Manor FBLA was named a Gold Seal chapter and placed 9th in the state for the William Selden Outstanding Chapter Award. Madison Martin placed 5th in Healthcare Administration. Allison Polenic placed 6th in the Healthcare Administration. Sabrina Smith placed 10th in Job Interview and also earned the Future Business Achievement Award. Allison Stittler placed 5th in the Introduction to the FBLA. Luke Rainey placed 8th in Current Events, 9th in Microeconomics, and 10th in Macroeconomics. The Parliamentary Procedures Team of Riley Hill, Allison Johnson, Greta Rattay, and Matthew Zajac placed 4th and qualified to compete at nationals. The Management Information Systems Team of Autumn Kramer, Mason Engel, and Parker Clayton placed 2nd and qualified to compete at nationals. The Pennsylvania Skills USA State Championships. First place in medical terminology contest, Marilee Abrams. Marley, will now be competing virtually at the 2021 Skills USA National Championship in June. 2021 Sports Writers All-State Girls Basketball Team, Class 2A, third team Cassidy Smith, and Junior High School Track and Field eighth grader Alex Politic competed at the Mountain Lion Middle School Track and Field Classic, where he won the discus event, setting a school record with a throw of 160 feet 8 inches. He also won the shot put with a throw of 39 feet 8 inches. Congratulations to all these students. Number 21Q. You read that motion, Mr. Muscatello.
We need a motion to elect Deborah Tate as treasurer as per section 404 of the Public School Code of 1949, as amended to fill the unexpired term of July 1st. That should not be the unexpired term, right?
No, she would just be filling it
Yep,
to
yep,
extend from
I
July
apologize, yep.
1 this year to June 30th of next year.
To fill the term of July 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2022, and to approve the treasurer bond at $5,000 issued by Liberty Mutual as surety. The board and Deborah Tate have agreed to waive the salary for this position.
Can we have a motion, please?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
I'll second.
Thank you,
I have
sir.
a motion by Mrs. Eckenrode and a second by Mr. Larch.
Questions or concerns? Roll call.
Mrs. Eckenrode,
Yes.
Mr. Hardesty,
Yes?
Mr. Larch,
Yes.
Mr. Polanic,
Yes.
Mrs. Smiley,
Yes.
Mrs. Tate,
Yes.
Mrs. Williams,
Yes.
Dr. Boston,
Yes.
Mrs. Dalton.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Number 21, request field trips or conferences. May we have a motion to, may we have a motion to approve the following field trips conferences as attached in our packets?
I'll make the motion.
Make the motion.
I have
Second.
a motion by Mrs. Eckenrode. Mrs. Tate, would you like to second?
Yes.
You got it.
Thank you both. Questions or concerns? Mr. Muscatello, roll call.
Mrs. Eckenrode,
Yes.
Mr. Hardesty,
Yes.
Mr. Larch,
Yes.
Mr. Polanic,
Yes.
Mrs. Smiley,
Yes.
Mrs. Tate,
Yes.
Mrs. Williams,
Yes.
Dr. Boston,
Yes.
Mrs. Dalton.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All righty. Mr. Johnston, I was wondering if you would provide some info for everyone concerning the video, the VOAG video, and what we've done with that, and then bring us up to date on the landscaping outside.
Sure. So I just want to share with everyone that's listening. We've shared with the board. A video has been produced promoting our ag program. And again, that's been conducted by Mr. Hughes and FFA members. And we've shared that video with all the county schools, plus Cambria County schools, inviting any of the school districts that neighbor us to send students to our ag program. So that promotion's out there and if shared with all of you. We'll also try to get it attached to our website too. Also want to call to everyone's attention the landscaping project that was completed with Earthcraft and our ag students. That was designed by Earthcraft with the help of our students, and also the labor was completed by Earthcraft employees and our students. And I do want to thank Earthcraft. They do represent, they have a representative serving on our Ag Advisory Board, and I also need to thank them for the donations for all the materials. So just want to say thank you from all of us as a board to Earthcraft.
Thank you, sir. Upcoming meetings, as Mr. Johnston mentioned, our committee meeting is moved to June 10th. Our business meeting is June 17th, both at 7 o'clock. And board members will gather at 6 o'clock on the 10th. Any other questions or concerns for this meeting?
I have two items.
Yes, sir.
Back on item number 7, business report, I only recorded 7 votes. So I'm not sure if we have missed 2. I think in order.
We did. We did. Thank you for
Okay,
pointing that out.
We
Yeah.
need to readopt that motion and have everybody vote.
Number 7,
Yes.
we can go with the motion, or do we want to start all over?
Just need a motion to approve the the financial reports as printed.
Okay, now we've already had a motion and a second.
But we did not have all the board members.
I
recall.
understand.
So we need to have all
All right.
the members vote.
Business report number 7. May we have a motion to approve the financial reports as printed?
Make the motion.
Thank you, sir.
I'll second.
I have a motion by Mr. Planick and a second by Mrs. State.
Any questions on the financial reports? Yays and nays, please, or excuse
That's a
me,
roll call.
roll call, please.
Mrs. Eckenrode,
Yes.
Mr. Hardesty,
Yes,
Mr. Larch,
Yes.
Mr. Planick,
Yes.
Mrs. Smiley,
Yes.
Mrs. Tate,
Yes.
Mrs. Williams,
Yes.
Dr. Boston,
Yes.
Mrs. Dalton.
Yes.
Motion carries.
And the second item with regard to new business, appointing the board secretary. The section says section 434. That should read section 404. Does anyone have an objection to us making that change? Okay, thank you.
I was thinking about bringing that up.
They do.
Yeah.
Mr. Saffron, I assume that applies to also the assistant board secretary.
No, that the assistant one is correct. That
Oh, it is, okay.
434. Yes.
Any other questions or for the good of the order?
Mr. Hardesty, I just want to share with the board, no reason for executive session this evening. I just want to tell you that I have nothing to update you on the 2 legal items we discussed in executive session last week. But as we progress through those, I will certainly keep all of you updated.
Thank you. Meeting adjourned.